Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Cleavage. So tonight I'm gonna start with a shout out to my friend Alicia, who works at the Deutsches House here in New Orleans. She's a bartender there, and she asked me recently how I keep my lipstick on while I'm eating. So I just want to let all the girls out there know, and guys, you can tell your girlfriends or wives or whatever. First you start, I love chapstick. Everybody who knows me knows how much I love chapstick. So I start with that because I don't think the lips should be too dry or too moist. And then you take a lip liner. You don't just line your lip with it. You fill in all over your lip. Then you take the lipstick that you want to wear and you put that over it. And instead of blotting it like a lot of girls do, you don't blot it. You take, it's better with tissue that doesn't have the lint come off of it, like Charmin or one of those. This is actually Scott tissue, so it doesn't have that linty stuff. You just take it and you press it all the way on your lips. And you see how lipstick comes off? And you keep doing that until you see less and less lipstick. And see, that's still on, right? Okay, so I just wanted to tell y'all that. I know. Alicia said I should include it in my video today, so that's what I was gonna start with. Anyway, tonight I'm gonna make a dish I grew up with my family making. We called it Kizzu. We got it from my first cousin's father's family. And they were Eastern European, and they were also Jewish. So we found out later that it was actually short. Kizzu was short for, it's actually queso, short for queso con tomate. Which makes sense, but I wonder, you know, because I think a lot of Jewish people and Arabic people left Spain during the Inquisition and traveled to Europe and Eastern Europe and even Holland and places like that. Anyway, this dish starts with tomatoes. So I have 12 delicious, ripe, beautiful Creole tomatoes here. And I am going to start it on the stove. That's something we didn't do. Okay, so that doesn't need help tonight. With a half a cup of olive oil. You can chop the tomatoes as coarsely or as finely as you want. My mom used to put all of the tomatoes and the bell peppers, which I have 2. It calls for 2 to 3 bell peppers. One was kind of a small bell pepper, and the other one was a rather large one. Put that all in the pot together on medium high with the olive oil. And I always just get all the olive oil I can. And you're gonna give that a nice stir, and you're gonna simmer that in a nice simmer for about 45 minutes. Okay, so this has been cooking about 45 minutes. Come see how it's supposed to look, right? It's been cooking. I'm gonna turn that off, right? And I already turned on the oven. You wanna set the oven to 350 to 400, 375, anything around there, depending on how quickly you wanna cook it, right? Okay, okay, and then, while that is cooling a little bit, I'm gonna show y'all how to make champagne cocktails. Because I thought, you know, why not just show some different cocktails around champagne? Okay, so champagne. Champagne has to be from Champagne region of France. That's why Italian sparkling wine is called Prosecco, and Spanish sparkling wine is called Cava, and in California it's just called sparkling wine. Okay, and if you see Brut on a bottle, Brut is right there. If you see Brut, it is the driest. If you see dry or extra dry, it's not going to be as dry as Brut. So for a champagne cocktail, I don't have champagne glasses, but I have some nice little cute glasses here that I got cold. You take a sugar cube in each one, and then Angostura bitters. That's 1, 2, 3. You can even do 2. It depends. Some people like bitters and some people don't. It's going to be a little bit bitter, but just enough so that it penetrates the champagne. Then you just top it with champagne. And I mean, I was talking about this earlier. You could substitute a lot of things with cocktails and with food and things like that. But I think the whole point of a champagne cocktail with the sugar cube, it's the presentation of it, right? And when you do this in a champagne glass, you see the little sugar cube on the bottom there? I know I could see it on my side. There it is. And so it adds a little visual aspect, right, to the champagne while the sugar is cooking. Sugar is melting and dissolving. And then when you first try the cocktail, cheers, it's my friend helping me with these videos. When you first taste it, it's not nearly as sweet as the last sip's gonna be, right? So, oh, I forgot to add the lemon twist. So the other day, the last video when I made those Cosmos, this is what I was missing. For a lemon twist, it's just a lemon peel, right? And you take the back of the lemon peel and you just run it along the outside of the rim of the glass, and then you twist it. And that releases the oils that are inside the skin, right? And then you just drop it in. A lot of people will ask for a twist in a bar when they mean a squeeze, just to sound fancy, I've noticed. They'll be like, can I have a twist of lime? I don't know one drink you use twist of lime in it. You could, but a lemon twist is a lot easier to get off of the fruit itself. Okay, so that's good. So next thing I'm gonna do is we want this to cool enough so that it's not like going into, so this is just feta cheese that I chopped up. For this double recipe that I'm making, it's about a pound of cheese. 16 ounces is what the recipe calls for. And then you just put this on top. And that's the queso part of the queso con tomate, right? The feta. And isn't that very Mediterranean, right? So that's what makes me think that maybe these people had an influence with Spain at some point in their heritage, their ancestry. I'm just scooping it because I feel like if I pour the whole thing on it all at once, it's not gonna cool off enough, right? This kind of lets it spread out. And as I was saying before, I started to say it, but I didn't finish. You could cut the tomatoes and the bell peppers and the feta cheese even as finely or as coarsely as you want to. You know, we've tried it different ways. When I was growing up, my mom used to just put it in a blender or food processor and get it all mixed up really well together. But we started doing it this way, and we kind of like this way too. And you can even make them even coarser than what I have here. It's really juicy. So there are also different ways. It's a casserole, right? So like most casseroles, you're gonna mix it up with egg. So there are different ways to do this too. If you want it juicier, you don't put all the egg in the middle of it and mix it together. I have about 6 eggs scrambled in this bowl that I'm gonna add, and I'm gonna mix it all in. You want it to not be so hot when you put the egg in that the egg scrambles before it becomes part of the casserole. And just mix it all together like this. And make sure there's enough cheese spread out throughout it and somewhat enough tomato, right? That looks so good. And this does not have any meat in it. My friend asked me, oh, this is a dish without meat? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna make some chicken or something on the side. So maybe there'll be a little surprise this week with some of these leftovers, right? You never know. And then we found out later that the original recipe, they just put some scrambled egg on top, right? Just like this. Just like that. And then you're gonna see when it comes out of the oven how crisp it makes the top by doing that, right? So let's see, it's almost 350. So when it gets to 350, we're just gonna put it in the oven and you're gonna cook it on until it sets, right? So it'll take about a half an hour to set, okay? Hey, so we had this in the oven about half an hour, and then I noticed that this side was really cooked, but this side wasn't, because my soon-to-be ex stove isn't the best stove ever. But you just want to make sure it's set, and some people don't want it to be set all the way. Some people like that juiciness, you know? So I'll just show you, if you get it from this side, it's going to be really juicy, but if you get it from this side, it's going to be a little bit more set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit from each side. Yum, right? And okay, so shoot me, I'm making one more thing over pasta. But anyway, I did that while we were not on camera, because you don't need for me to tell you how to make pasta again. You probably didn't need me to tell you how to make it the first time. And then you just top it with Parmesan cheese. Yum, right? And that's the dish right there. Kizzu, queso con tomate. And I'm gonna try a little bit of it. And just so you know, because when you cook this, if you do, hopefully you will try, and this will intrigue you enough to try to make it yourself. When I was a kid and I came home and I smelled that cooking on the stove and I knew I was gonna be able to eat this, oh my God, my heart was so happy. Just like I remember. And this champagne cocktail, I haven't had one in a while. It's a perfect accompaniment to this. And maybe I'll cook a little bit of meat that would be good on the side of this coming up. But, you know, as you can see, I didn't add any seasoning to this at all. You could add seasoning and cook it all together. And, you know, like everything, it'll, you know, all the flavors penetrate well together. But, I mean, to me, this is just simple. It's very simple ingredients that you can put together easily. Takes a little bit of time, but a lot of good cooking does. And so I hope you enjoyed our simple Kizzu queso con tomate with champagne cocktails tonight. I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this one. See you next time.